The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Ski Sundown in nearby New Hartford, Connecticut, offering bundled lesson packages including rental equipment and lift tickets. Online registration available at skisundown.com. Winter made better. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by UMass Amherst School of Public Policy. Admissions now open for graduate programs in 2025. Learn how to become a changemaker at umass.edu/SPP.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, a jumpstart on Women's History Month with women-led vineyards, and therefore wine at Dare Bottle Shop, which is also women-led, and provisions in Lenox.
And we'll hear about all the stars falling on Amherst College campus for LitFest, which continues through Sunday.
And double, nay, triple live music Friday to boot with a preview of an artist you can catch at next weekend's Back Porch Festival, Sierra Fregale.
And starting with our first guests, Peter Mulvey and Ruth Theodore.
Peter Mulvey has been a songwriter, road dog, rock on tour, and almost poet since before he can remember. 19 records, an illustrated book, thousands of live performances, a TEDx talk, an annual autumn tour by bike, emceeing festivals, hosting his own festival, as well as being our first ever Live Music Friday guest 2 years ago, almost to the week.
Yeah, almost to the
and
week.
It seems like only 30 or 40 years.
Exactly.
Ruth Theodore, on the other hand, has never been here and has been hailed as Britain's answer to Ani DeFranco, with songs so quirky and unexpected that it's impossible to imagine anyone else performing them, following none of the more conventional styles of songwriting, which is high praise.
Both of them will take the stage this evening at the Iron Horse in Northampton. Let's start out with a song with Peter Mulvey and Ruth on violin.
All right. This is called On the Eve of the Inaugural. And I wrote, yeah. And this is 4 years ago. All right. 1, 2, 3. Little one in a car seat in the back of a Honda that your mother is fueling at the pump next to mine, while the screens on each pump chatter at the grown-ups, American consumers in an orderly line. On the eve of the inaugural, snow is falling, and the mind, as they say, is amazed at its fall, and my left hand is freezing, and your face is so perfect, and I see in your eyes our history's called, and a smile in the way that we hominids do when we see a little baby hominid like you, and you smile back with a look of joy or indigestion, and I shiver straight down to my bones. Little one, may I remind you that you and I both live in the 80th straight decade of a steady decline in violence, which used to be the curse of our species, and so things probably should, but they don't look just fine. 'Cause on the eve of the inaugural, there's a look of pure nervousness on every face that I see. I mean, I know things rise and things fall, but like everyone else, I did not think that that applied to you and me. And a smile in the way that we hominids do when we see a little baby hominid like you, and you smile back with that look of joy or indigestion, and I shiver straight down to my bones. Little one, I bequeath you this hurtling rock with its rainforest lung, with its molten iron heart, with its tattered oceans and weary flora and fauna, among whom we hominids made a tentative start.
Peter Mulvey with an assist from Ruth Theodore on violin and background vocals here on Live Music Friday, and the Fabulous 413, our first ever Fabulous 413 guest, both of whom tonight are playing at the Iron Horse in Northampton.
That's like a fabulous, like, Quiet Part Loud song.
Yeah. And remember, if you missed the beginning of it, on the eve of the inauguration, not in the beginning of this year, but 4 years ago.
I've been exceedingly nervous for most of my adult life, like just exceedingly nervous watching the careening down the rails of things for quite some time. And you know, I've been thinking about this, like that song, like a lot of my songs, people, like I have a friend right now who's really on my case about all my political writing, and I'm like, I'm not writing about politics. I'm just foregrounding the fact that we all just kind of like each other and love each other, and then in the background there's a lot of static and storm clouds, and clearly we're the only people making the static and storm clouds, and most of the people I meet are real nice people, but also history moves with velocity.
Yes.
Right? And so I just am constantly putting in the foreground us and our little Hobbit-like lives, and in the background, like, it seems like the Eye of Sauron is, you know, like, okay.
Well, the Hobbits managed somehow, so there's hope.
Right. That's right. Like,
Spoiler alert for people who haven't read that yet.
Yeah, but no one knows what happened to the hobbits.
Oh, I would love to
until
read.
just now.
Right. I'd love to read the absolutely brutal version of The Lord of the Rings,
Yeah.
where the good guys lose.
Yeah, it could happen real fast. It could be a short series.
We have someone from the nation of the author of Lord of the Rings in this room with us. This is an interesting time to come and tour the U.S., Ruth Theodore. How has it been so far?
Actually, delightful. Genuinely. Because I find the American people, whether I disagree with them or agree with them, very open about their opinions, very open about their lives. And that's something that definitely we need more of in the UK. People tend to, you know, the UK can be summarized by the you know, should there be a ceasefire in Gaza? And Britain said, we abstain. You know, it's like, oh yeah, of
Not
course
even going to weigh in.
Yeah. Let's not be the bad guys or the good guys. Let's
Right.
just let everybody else get dirty.
We're not going to let Switzerland be the only one who can get away with that anymore.
Yeah, right. And yeah, like talking in the lobby or whatever about, you know, Peter was saying, or maybe we'll need a passport to go into Canada. And like coming from a nation that's just blocked access to all of its neighbours, try not to do that. It sucks. It makes touring very hard.
Amongst
That's why I'm
other
here.
things, I'm
I
sure.
can't tour in France anymore.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really? You are not able to do it? It's just too
It's
difficult?
easier for me to come here. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Because of
Brexit.
the Brexit. Yeah.
Yes.
And the lingering implications therein, which was a little bit of a canary in a coal mine before the 2016 elections. And,
When we said, hold our beer.
yeah, right.
Or perhaps we learned the example of our parents a little too well.
Wit, meaning?
Well, we were a colony of Britain.
Those parents. I thought you meant our literal parents.
No.
All right, let's have some reconciliation here between the British woman and the...
We'll bring the Canadians along, too. Why not? Well, Ruth Theodore and Peter Mulvey are both playing at the Iron Horse in Northampton tonight. Let's hear a song from Ruth Theodore this Live Music Friday.
I'm just going to clear up some British acronyms that are in here. So a PAYE is like a paycheck. HMRC is Her Majesty's revenue something. And revenue and customs, maybe. And an OBE is like an honour of the British Empire. I don't have any of those things. I do have this song. And there was a fire in West London called the Fire of Grenfell. And a lot of poor people died for absolutely no reason. This is my response. It all began that week, the week of the fire. I just couldn't sleep and I'd lie awake in the heat. Just me and the DTs, kicking off the bed sheets, rooting through the 1 and 2 piece, digging for rubies, flicking through movies. But nothing seemed worth my time on earth. So I crawled out to the curb, started walking the beat, haunting the street, and between the sky and me, we were fit to burst. You heard it here first. And it was my step alone
With the trod that cobbled stone, I strode by row upon row of empty shop fronts, display windows lit up like there's no tomorrow. Or there's one we can borrow all my sorrow, 'cause every little hurts, and you heard it here first. It's fall or fly, it's live or die. Time you and I went out on a high, a high, a high. Well, alright. And I remember clear as day all these shopfront television displays. The BBC was live at the scene, and I stood there watching all the big screens. On one was this liberal dude, more white voices on black issues. On another, fear and anger, says a young reporter fresh off the hangar, talking straight into the camera. Tensions mounting, too many dead and counting. Everybody stay home, everybody stay calm, nobody break the glass, nobody sound the alarm, 'cause we're not sure it works, and this couldn't look much worse. Oh, you heard it here first. And as is tradition in times of tragedy, a televised word from Her Majesty was replaying on the next screen. She seems uncanny if you ask me, the kind of innocent bystander you could swear you've seen appear at every murder scene. Oh yeah, you mark my words, and you heard me first. Everybody stay home, everybody stay calm, prop up the monarchy. Oh certainly, Mom, will do. Just send me a letter through, and I'll scribble an IOU on the back of my PAYE for HMRC. You see, at the heart of every tragedy is austerity, Your Majesty. Now how about that OBE, oh me? Oh, I said you got a nerve, and you heard it here first. Yeah, I said you got a nerve, and you heard it here first. It's fall or fly, it's live or die. Time you and I went out on a high, a high, a high. Well, all right. I took my seat on my concrete throne, at once both always and never alone, 'cause showing on the next TV was live surveillance from the street, and yet there was me in my defeat, amidst the miles of bleak piles and piles of concrete up before the birds. So you heard it here first. And that's when I looked up to notice a ghostly camera following me closely, eerily quiet and smooth. It mimicked my every move, and I knew right then there was someone behind that lens, someone at work, up with a bird. You heard it here first. I stepped up off the curb, climbed the doorframe, lifted like a curse, drawn from the earth up to its perch, till I was right there, giving it a hard stare, saying knock knock, who's there? Are we live on air? Come on, play fair, the rules are clear, come and live in fear. Everybody's here, or else I'll watch you and you'll watch me, but we're both invisible really, you see. Oh, people like you and me, we only show up on their CCTV, and I guess that's what really hurts. Yeah, you heard it here first. It all began that week, the week of the fire. I just couldn't sleep. Now I'm back up on my feet, going over to the TV, watching it repeat. TV, watching it repeat. TV, watching it repeat. TV, watching it repeat.
Woo!
Oh my gosh, that was so cool!
So good. Such great guitar playing,
I know.
too. Amazing. That's Ruth Theodore, who will be playing at the Iron Horse in Northampton tonight alongside our friend Peter Mulvey, local hero, playing that local venue. As dark as the things that you were singing about both are, it's people like you that give me hope through the dark times, that we're in the good hands, that people always ask, where are the Bob Dylans and Pete Seegers of today?
They're in the
there they
studio
are.
with us.
They're right there. Also, we'll
frankly,
add Kendrick Lamar and all those other folks to it, too.
It's one of the easiest way to get these messages out there to everybody else who kind of needs to understand a little bit better, I feel. And I'll die on that hill.
Yeah.
From your lips to God's ears, and thank you.
Peter Mulvey, who we've had now, I think it's the third time at least we've had him at Live Music Friday, and again, our first Live Music Friday guest ever, and we're so glad to have welcomed you today here, Ruth Theodore, both of them playing.
Oh, that was a pleasure. Not to mention bringing the second iteration of Nina Simone into the studio for us today.
Yeah, wearing a Nina Simone sweatshirt for the radio audience who obviously cannot see that. But Peter Mulvey and I both have the same kind of hat on.
That's right.
Just to paint paint a picture for everyone.
The connections abound.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Later in the show, a Berkshire showdown of two women-led vineyards for the Wine Thunderdome at Dare Bottle Shop and Provisions in Lenox.
And more live music with North Adams' own Sierra Fregale.
But first, what do Dr. Anthony Fauci, Brandon Somm, and Basquiat all have in common?
We'll find out when Jen Acker joins us to talk about Amherst College's Lit Fest next.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Northeast Solar, helping customers make the switch to solar for savings, energy security, and tax incentives. Learn more at northeast-solar.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. Amherst College is hosting the 10th annual Lit Fest, a literary festival celebrating fiction, nonfiction, poetry, spoken word, performance, and the college's extraordinary literary life. And the guest speaker list for this 10th anniversary edition of this festival is star-studded.
Here to talk with us about this year's Amherst Literary Festival, which runs now through this Sunday, March 2nd, is the director of the Lit Fest and the founder and editor-in-chief of The Common and author herself, Jen Acker. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me back. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we had you on last year about the last Amherst Literary Festival, and I know you did your due diligence to try to get us one of these bona fide star-studded guests from this Lit Fest, but we're just not big enough for them yet.
They're all busy with very rich, acclaimed lives.
Yeah, getting Oscar nominated or, trying to keep the world healthy, but
being shortlisted for Booker Prizes,
exactly.
Like you do.
Yeah, we tried really hard to get Jeffrey Wright, who is also an Amherst alum, which I was not aware of until he was part of this festival.
And Percival Everett.
Is Percival Everett an Amherst alum too?
No.
Oh, okay, but yeah.
Sadly, we can't claim him.
You can give him an honorary degree, and then you could.
We're very excited to have him to campus, though.
Yeah, there is a film screening of the movie American Fiction, which last year was a huge Oscar contender, a fantastic movie, stars an incredible Jeffrey Wright, and in conversation this evening with Percival Everett and Cord Jefferson, with the president, Michael Elliott of Amherst College, and with remarks by you, Jen Acker. What a get.
Well, we are so excited about this lineup, as you mentioned, star-studded. Yeah, we're having a little Hollywood evening. We're all super fans of Jeffrey Wright, of course, and have been following his career for years and love the movie American Fiction. Also big fans of Percival Everett and his novels. This idea actually came about from a brainstorming session with some of my interns and staff at the Common. We were thinking, what could we do for the 10th anniversary of Lit Fest? And, this thought, it was like, well, what if we could get the folks from American Fiction, because it's such a literary movie. There's an Amherst connection with Jeffrey Wright. We thought this would be a dream, but how likely is it that we're going to be able to get all three people together in the room in Amherst, Massachusetts, So we did our best, and we're just so flattered and honored that this has come together and that everyone has agreed to come.
That is happening this evening from 5 to 6:30, the making of American Fiction. Are there still seats available for this, or are we only going to the live stream at this point?
The in-person event is sold out, but luckily there is a live stream. There also is overflow seating in a simulcast location. So if a friend of yours has a ticket and you want to be part of the excitement on campus, you can go in the overflow seating and watch the simulcast. Or if you'd rather stay home in your pajamas and watch it, you may do that too.
In the way that we said this festival is star-studded, you're following that up. I know I'm skipping a day, but you're following that up with a talk with Anthony Fauci, which is so cool.
On call, Dr. Anthony Fauci in conversation with Cullen Murphy, 74 alum of Amherst College in the Johnson Chapel this Sunday. That's another huge get. How did you get Dr. Anthony Fauci, who we were hearing from day in and day out 5 years ago when the pandemic came to be?
Well, that was another surprise where we were just, shot for the moon. And I read Dr. Fauci's memoir. I'm a super fan, but, we weren't necessarily thinking of him as a literary guy. He spent his life as a physician and public service and led us through the pandemic. But he wrote this great book. And, part of the festival is bringing writers of all kinds, no matter if your day job is something else. If you write a wonderful book, that's an important read and worth talking about, then we're excited. Very generously, he agreed to come. So, yeah, this is just kind of amazing. And I can't wait to see him in person and, and hear him talk about the process of writing the book, as well as some of the really incredible behind the scenes stories that he tells in the book from his 50 years in public service as a physician.
We're speaking with Jen Acker, who is from the Amherst Literary Festival, which is celebrating its 10th anniversary this weekend, going through this Sunday at Amherst College and online.
Part of this literary festival is collaborations with literary locations in the Valley. Like, you've got a talk with the director of the National Book Foundation that is in collaboration with the Emily Dickinson Museum. Can you talk about that?
From the beginning, the National Book Foundation has been a partner of LitFest. The very seed of the festival came from this collaboration with the National Book Foundation, and the idea that the Common Magazine and Amherst College would partner with the foundation to bring current year winners and finalists to campus. So this has been a really wonderful and fruitful collaboration from the beginning, and we're excited to have such thrilling poets with us this year. Ruth Dickey, the director of the National Book Foundation, is a poet herself. And so it all made sense to create this poetry event as an instance or an addition of the Emily Dickinson Museum's Phosphorescence series, which they hold monthly and have wonderful, brilliant poets.
At least one of the poets you brought is a Pulitzer Prize winner from 2024. Can you tell us about Brandon Somm?
Yeah, Brandon Somm is terrific. He, of course, won a Pulitzer Prize for his most recent collection. It's a very interesting multilingual collection, and so he speaks to Chinese heritage as well as Mexican heritage. There's a lot of words pulled from different languages, and so it's sort of speaking of making new languages. He's using all of these diverse cultural and linguistic influences to create his own style and these very evocative, beautiful poems.
I want you to talk a little bit more about Teju Cole, who actually is doing several events for this festival, including a talk with you directly.
Yeah, so Teju Cole is one of the presidential scholars for this year. So Amherst College has 2 or 3 sort of eminent writers, public intellectuals, thinkers, artists. We draw from a lot of different categories. He's our LitFest spring semester pick, and as presidential scholar, he will be on campus for several days. So we really are excited for him not only to do this public event with me on Saturday at 5 p.m., but also to engage with students, to visit classes, to have more exposure to the campus community. He's a photographer and a writer and an art historian, as well as many other things. He'll be wonderful.
This literary festival, which technically goes through Sunday and stars Dr. Anthony Fauci and Percival Everett and Jeffrey Wright, also has one more fun community event happening at Amherst Cinema, not too far from the college, on Wednesday that also focuses on Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah, it was exciting to partner with Amherst Cinema this year, which is such a beloved institution in the town of Amherst and brings such incredible films. Amherst Cinema is programming, sort of in conjunction with LitFest, the film Basquiat, which was one of the early Jeffrey Wright films. I think is sort of a breakout role for him. And it has been so long since I have seen this movie that I'm really eager to see it again next week.
Yeah, me too. It's got Bowie and Dennis Hopper in it. It's a great
And
movie.
it ends with Hallelujah. So
Yeah.
What does this event mean for, like, the students having this wealth of folks in various industries across the span of what literature can do in modern age? Like, what does that do for the students on campus to invigorate their own work or at least interact with these folks?
Yeah, that's a great question, and is definitely one of the goals of the festival, is to not only bring the community together, but to inspire young people, particularly students who maybe are reading works in the classroom but don't think of authors as real people, or don't think about that they were once college students like them, trying to figure out their lives. And so it is really important to us to bring figures who are going to be of interest to students, and also to provide opportunities for students to interact with some of these speakers. So all of the authors who are coming to campus are giving craft talks, which are open only to students. So between 30 and 50 students will gather and have an opportunity to hear Jeffrey Wright talk about his career trajectory, hear Cord Jefferson talk about becoming a journalist and then that transition to becoming a screenwriter and director, to hear Percival Everett, who has written so many books, talk about all of his experiments in literature and sort of impart some of their wisdom, give students a chance to ask questions and to think that they could do this too.
It's amazing. It's all happening this weekend. It's the 10th annual Amherst Lit Fest at Amherst College. The director of the Lit Fest has been joining us, Jen Acker. If you want to find out all the details and find where the live stream is for Jeffrey Wright and Percival Everett and all that this evening, if you go to amherst.edu, it's the first thing practically you see on the page there. That's the easiest path of least resistance to get into this festival and find out about all the details and times, etc. It's such an amazing festival. Fingers crossed for the big stars that you get for next year's festival coming on the show. We swung and missed with Jeffrey Wright, and I'll live.
I'm sorry. I wish
It's
I
not
had
your
more
fault, Jen.
pull.
It's not your fault, Jen.
I'm still riding.
You tried hard.
I'm still riding the high from Aparna Nancherla.
Last year, yeah, right? That was great. Yeah. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, you guys, and for all you do for art and culture in the Valley.
Oh, thanks. And Amherst Lit Fest is an underwriter of NEPM. Just so you know. More awesome women on guitars when Back Porch Festival artist extraordinaire Sierra Fragalia joins us.
But first, women-led vineyards pitted against each other and the patriarchy of the glass with a Thunderdome at the women-owned Dare Bottle Shop and Provisions in Lenox.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Ski Sundown in nearby New Hartford, Connecticut, offering group, private, or semi-private lessons for all ages and ability levels. Options and details available at skisundown.com. Winter made better.
We're back in the Wine Thunderdome with our friends at Dare Bottle Shop and Provisions in Lenox with Mary Dare and Ben Dare. I'm excited to be here with Ben Dare.
We were all waiting.
What's the pun going to be about Ben Dare this time?
There was a pause, and we're like, where is it? It's coming.
Be here with Ben Dare.
Yeah,
it's not bad. March 8th, you and Dare are going to be teaming up with the very famous Red Lion Inn for a special wine-related event.
Yes, we'll be at the historic Red Lion Inn. This is a multi-year festival that they've been organizing every spring. So it's called their Winter Wine Fair, and it's happening Saturday, March 8th at the Red Lion Inn. So it's ourselves, along with 3 other great shops from the Berkshires, our neighbors Nee James, and then Domainies and Spirit Shop, South Egremont from South County. They'll be joining. So it's a really nice gathering celebration of not only great wine, but also our community of really cool shops and small businesses doing great things. Our theme is going to be women in wine. So we're featuring a lineup of all female winemakers, which also ties into the 2 bottles that we chose for you guys to sample today. We're coming into the month of March, which is Women's History Month. Woo! And March 8th is, I think, the actual day of.
International Women's Day.
There we go. Thank you. So that's why we also, on March 8th for the tasting, we wanted to pull out some of our favorite wines from female producers. So today, starting you guys off with one of those producers who we won't be featuring on the 8th, and we wanted to just add them into the mix to highlight them because we are big fans. This is Maloof Wines, so B and Ross Maloof, because it's not always just only a female winemaker. You know, there's partnerships and everybody bringing their talents to the production. So such is the case with Maloof Wines. So young couple, they're just over a decade in their process of having really built their brand from scratch. He was in the restaurant industry. She worked for Boeing, an engineer, like really scientific background. And their passions led them to being able to pursue, through a lot of struggle and difficulty. They were both working full-time jobs. They pretty much just packed up and moved out to Oregon and built their brand from scratch. And you guys will taste in your glass today their wine, All Grapes Welcome. It's a unique twist on a red. So red wine, as you can see, very light in color, mostly Gamay. So the Gamay grape that we've tasted on multiple occasions with you guys. As you know, we're big fans.
Trying to force Gamay down our throats.
Gamay is lovely, and you're coming
I'm
around.
coming around.
100%. We're trying to show all the shades of Gamay. So this obviously is not a French Gamay from Beaujolais. We're talking far west coast, Oregon. This is into the western edge of the Willamette Valley. So a mostly Gamay blend, and the other 2 grapes, this could be the surprise factor, actually. Let's see what you guys think they might be, with 2 other white grapes that are in this blend.
Okay. She gave us a hint. Willamette also does some really nice Pinot Noir, so just looking at it, that was my first thought. But smelling it, it definitely has more of the strawberry thing that I think I get from Gamay.
Funky it's funk.
Let's see what the white grapes could be.
So one is home to the Pacific Northwest, and the other white grape is not necessarily native to the Pacific Northwest, but produces wines that are highly aromatic, revered for just that tense floral notes that they can bring. Yeah.
Okay. Ben Dare gave me the best hint of them all.
I mean, so what? I mean, I feel like that means Riesling is one of them.
It was tricky.
Oh, see, I would have said Riesling.
Okay, cool.
So is it Gruner Veltliner?
No.
You say yes, you say no.
Gewürztraminer.
Oh, Gewürztraminer. Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, right. That is the aromatic one. It's really like the perfume of wines, right?
Yes.
So what's the other one then? Is it Pinot Blanc? Pinot Gris.
Great.
Most planted grape, I believe, in Oregon.
Pinot Gris and Pinot Grigio are essentially also the same
Right,
thing, and I
exactly.
often have trashed Pinot Grigio. So you're making me come around to both Gamay and Pinot Grigio.
Right. Pinot Gris. When you see that on the label instead of Pinot Grigio, it'll one thing kind of point you in a direction of where it's coming from because you'll never see a Pinot Gris from Italy. But also there's a stylistic, almost you can have that expectation with a Pinot Gris that it's made in a way that's a little bit more full-bodied, a little rounder, a little bit more umph to it than maybe a Pinot Grigio, which tends to be lighter, crisper, easy.
Jesus changed water into wine. Pinot Grigio changed wine into water.
Wow. All right. Well.
The name of this wine is All Grapes Welcome. It's got a really cute label that's just like inviting, and the name is inviting, and it's just something I think we all kind of need a little bit more of right now.
Grapes
It's
of all
just-
colors.
yeah,
It's
exactly,
inclusive.
right. 100%.
Oh, so this means it's getting canceled. What does Maloof mean?
It's their last name. The other one's got a really funny story about the name, so we'll talk about that. But they are going the classic route of naming their brand after themselves. Cool. Just like our shop.
Yeah, Dare.
There we go.
Okay, wine number 2. Wine Thunderdome, Dare Bottle
Yeah.
Shop and Provisions in Lenox, who will be part of the wine fair at the Red Lion Inn on International Women's Day, Saturday, March 8th.
Hello, blood.
Yeah, a lot of blood. Definitely iron.
I'd love to hear your first impressions. And it really does. It just like lends to the magic of wine. How these are very similar styles, and we'll talk about why. Different grapes, but they can just give such wildly different hints of aroma or sensory memories that come to mind just on those first interactions.
Yeah, for sure. This one's only a tiny bit darker, but still pretty
Right.
light. The blood on the nose, but a lot of spice on the palate, I think.
And wood, too, like bark.
We are coming from a bit further south. Our lineup today includes 2 American-made bottles. This second wine is by a couple, Corinne and Katie. They are of the winery Bird Horse, and we talked about names earlier, and they just have a really whimsical story of how they came to this name of Bird Horse. It's thanks to actually, it's right in your realm of, it's from an Wait, Don't Tell Me segment where you get 3 synonyms to describe yourself, and theirs were bird, muffin, and horse, and you have to put them in an order that represents yourself. And so one of the 2 picked bird muffin and the other had horse muffin, and they combined it into bird horse.
They keep the muffin for themselves.
Right. They're in California, Northern Cali. They don't have their own estate vineyards, which is a very typical story for a lot of, especially the new generation of winemakers. It's just
Meaning they don't own the land. They're
Yeah,
just trying to get grapes and
exactly.
be winemakers.
Right. They want to make their own wine. They did not, inherit a vineyard, or they don't have millions to spend on an acre or 2 of primo California real estate. So what they do is they source kind of far and wide. So they wanted a name that also almost represents that like freedom that they have of, you don't really know maybe what it is, a bird horse, and you don't necessarily know exactly with, across their portfolio, they're putting on some serious miles searching for those grapes that go into their wine. So it's sort of like this ambiguous, beautiful thing that they create.
So they're not sponsored by Mobil, the gas
No.
station where I drive by and their logo is a bird
And
horse.
somehow just like circumvented Pegasus.
Pegasus, that'd be too easy. I'm going with bird horse. We're going to keep this really literal man horse. That's their other label. It's got a nice centaur on this.
This is so lush on the palate.
So is this California Pinot Noir?
So this is California Sanso, the Sanso grape, which is native mostly. We see it coming from the south of France.
Yeah.
But it does really well in certain pockets of the world, especially here for this wine. It's called Heliotrope, and it's from one of the highest vineyard sites in California. So they're pictured northeast of Sacramento, heading almost towards like Lake Tahoe area. They're in El Dorado County.
I'm glad to know that it's called Sanso from people that speak French. I've been calling it Cinso this whole time.
That's all right. You can say it whatever
No,
way
I
you
want to say it correctly. I want to be a wine snob.
I feel like that's the Italian coming out in you.
Could be. Could be good with some of like heartier meals that you might have in the wintertime, but yet is light and refreshing enough to just be on its own.
Anything braised with that, like you want
Oh,
to
yeah.
play something like even like classic bœuf bourguignon or chicken cacciatore with mushroom and peppers and like
Oh, yeah.
like
Speaking
but
my language, Ben there.
that will like perfectly play with.
And the label on this one is also cool. Both of the labels are very cool.
Yep, very artistic. They pop from the shelf. We don't have a mega store, so we really do hone in on who they are, what they do. And I think these labels sort of help to represent these very creative people behind the wines. You know, it helps to sort of be an extension of their personality. And with these ladies in particular, they just want to bring something fresh, you know, rooted in tradition for California winemaking, but also maybe something that people haven't associated with California, like a very light red, low ABV, light on its feet and fresh.
These are the style of reds that I'm going to bring to my friend's house for a board game Sunday because they're primarily white drinkers. But I'm like, I've got some gateways for you.
Mary Dare, talk about women in the wine industry. You have been a wine rep.
Yeah,
You now
exactly.
own a wine store.
Yeah.
The woman who taught me everything I know about wine was sort of like on the cutting edge when she
Right.
started in the 1980s. There was literally almost nobody else in Western Mass wine world that was a woman doing anything in wine. How has it changed in the time you've been in wine, and how much easier is it to find wines that are made by female winemakers?
Yes, that was a big part of when I started out in the wine industry. Moved to France with Ben. You know, already France, a country and culture so steeped in wine tradition. That was, you know, one of the probably the first places in the world to go where it would be maybe the hardest to make inroads as a female, especially an American who spoke little French at the time. So it was super eye-opening back then, and that was, you know, 15 years ago. A lot has changed for sure. So it's just been really cool to be on all the different sides of the business, from working at the wineries or in the import-export portion of things, and then to retail sales like we're doing now. And I used to be a wine rep that would sell to stores like ours. It really was and still is largely a male-dominated industry, but it's changing quick. There's so many more female winemakers. We see wines coming to us that are much more on occasion made by women or with women having a large role. And then even you go up on the upper echelon of the CEOs of these wine companies, or the people that are calling the shots in the industry. There are few and far between, but becoming more prevalent, women that are assuming those type of jobs. So it's really exciting.
They're breaking the glass bottle.
Yep. Smash.
This is such a weird choice to make. Is this a day where I'm preferring the funk, or am I really into like this implied richness? And I like them both. I'm definitely going to choose last.
Remind us what the two wines are that we're tasting here for the Wine Thunderdome at Dare, Mary Dare.
Absolutely. The first wine is called All Grapes Welcome. It's a co-ferment of red and white grapes from Maloof Wines out in Oregon, Willamette Valley. The second wine, 100% red grape, the Sanso grape from California.
Which I now know how to say, Sanso.
Exactly.
Say it on so, Ben Dare.
Sanso.
Sanso.
You guys know he's going to put Weezer there.
Yeah.
You know.
I know, yes.
It's coming.
I love how you think of this on the spot.
It's really just
Wow.
it's an illness.
Yes, that part.
So that second red from Corinne and Katie of Bird Horse Wines, Northern California.
And it says heliotrope on the bottle.
Heliotrope.
Yeah, which means, so it's something that a plant will do. It's their phytohormones, apparently, that make it turn towards the sun.
You see sunflowers do it in fields. Like they'll follow the sun. It's really cute.
Yeah.
Heliotrope. Nice.
It's
wonderful.
amazing.
Some hormones are good.
Right?
Perimenopause, not so much.
Why you got to do that to me right now?
It impacts us all. Have you read All Fours?
No.
You should.
Okay.
No, I haven't even heard of it.
Miranda July. It will go down in history as like the first big perimenopause book.
Oh my God.
It's a riot.
All right.
Yeah, it's a wonderful book.
Was this the secret to everything? This bodily freedom? It felt intuitive and healthy, as if promiscuity was my birthright as a woman. Maybe it was.
All right, this is going to be a tough vote. Ben Dare is bowing out because he's delivering.
That's my vote.
Ben Dare voting while he's got the hand cart taking some wines out to the front.
Multitasking.
Goes with the heliotrope. Mary Dare?
I'm same. I love this wine, this heliotrope. Any time of the year, pretty much any occasion. It's just a great bottle.
Well, I kind of hate myself for this because I'm going to vote for the Gamay and the Pinot Grigio offspring, the Pinot Gris with Gewürztraminer. I'm going to be aloof and pick Maloof.
Love it.
All right, Khalees.
All right. Well,
You're either going to go for a tie or I'm going to be a
yeah,
lone bystander.
I'm making it a tie. I want Forest Floor today. I love the heliotrope, and I've had it. Thanks, Tony Dunn, for getting me a great Christmas present. But today I just want a little bit more brightness that makes me think of spring and makes it very light in my mouth.
Should we leave it as a tie or should we try to commandeer an innocent bystander?
Yeah, let's see if we can get Caitlin Nash to join us. You guys are familiar with their company, Blue Q?
Oh, Blue Q.
Yeah.
Oh, is she related to them?
She's the wife of
Oh, cool.
Yes.
That was one of the most fun segments we've ever done.
Seriously.
And now my kids always make fun of me because they'll be like, "Oh, Dad, look, Blue Q, your best friends."
And you're like, yeah, you're right.
I'm like, yeah, it's like Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory of awesome socks with swears on them.
So Caitlin, we have our special guest, Caitlin Nash, here today. She'll
Part
be
of the
our
Blue Q family in Pittsfield.
tiebreaker. Oh my goodness. We picked, long story short, these are two female winemakers coming into March with National Women's History Month. So we wanted to feature two domestic producers. One wine is from Oregon, will be the first one you're tasting. The second wine here is a Sanso from California.
Okay.
And we are split down the middle.
So do I have to pick by taste or by the cool labels?
You can pick with whatever you want. I'm not going to set the rules for you in this Thunderdome.
I think I like this one.
All right.
The Maloof wins!
Everybody wins. Both of these wines are fantastic. That choice was hard.
You voted with us.
It is hard, but I like it. I like this because it's got a little like funk to it a little bit. It feels it's nice. It's different.
Exactly.
Yeah. Did I pass?
You passed. There's no losing here.
Well, before I met you and you could point me in the right direction, I only picked wine by the label. It didn't matter what it was. If it was a cool label, I was in. Yes.
Baby steps.
Right. It's not a bad approach. You know, the labels do sometimes, not always, but they really do they're like an extension of the winemaker's intention, their character, and they can kind of match. So it's not a totally flawed approach either.
Well, thank you for the
Thank you.
opportunity to join in.
Nice to meet you, and say hi to the Blue Q boys for us.
I will, for sure.
And thanks again, Mary Darren Bendare. Have a fun wine fair on International Women's Day at the Red Lion Inn.
Thank you so much. Thanks for coming back out to the Berks and joining us in the Wild West.
Are you kidding? We love it here. And now, more live music for Live Music Friday with North Adams' Ciara Fregale, who's playing the Black Porch Festival in Northampton next weekend and has other things that are cool happening to her.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, offering co-op advantage checking with cash back on all purchases, plus secure debit card controls, all from the UMass 5 mobile banking app. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop. The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Window World of Western Mass, a local family business with experienced craftsmen offering skylights, siding, gutters, and doors. WindowWorldOfWesternMA.com.
Welcome back to the Fabulous 413. Our last Live Music Friday artist is North Adams' Ciara Fregale.
Ciara Fregale, an indie pop singer-songwriter, producer, actor, originally from New York's Hudson Valley. By blending the nostalgic traditions of songwriting with unique new wave sensibilities, she creates a refreshing sound all her own.
She can also be seen shredding with artists all over the valley, including Cloudbelly and Wallace Field and others. And next week, you can catch her as part of the Back Porch Festival several times, which is awesome.
Yes. You have a new video that's a jazzercise video. This is the first ever acoustic version of a pseudo 80s pop synth jazzercise song. Let's hear it from Ciara Fregale here on Live Music Friday.
Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure.
Jazzercise is on TV this morning. I think I'm gonna give it a try. Nothing else to watch on TV this morning. I might as well give it a try. You better watch out, fast as you can, 'cause I'm hot for the rhythm and a freak on the dance floor. Watch out, no one can stop me, I'm coming back for more. Jazzercise is on TV this morning. I think I'm gonna work up a sweat. There was something I was gonna do this morning, but I'd rather do this instead. You better watch out,
Sierra Fregale, the acoustic version.
But check out the electrified version, too, because it's synthtastic.
And the music video is super fun, where it is a choreographed jazzercise, like a jazzercise on TV type video.
And where Valley Bon Vivant Tom Friedman looks a lot like a dude from the Dream Eaters.
Yeah, which is a great band that we love.
Yes.
This is, I have been told that you have an actual kind of like choreographed entire show that surrounds this song and perhaps album.
Oh my
Has
God,
this been
do tell.
debuted yet? Has anyone seen the full choreography version of this Sierra Fregale performance?
Also, how do we get guest spots in this?
Yeah, how do we learn the choreography?
Well, I think there's a choreography tutorial on the internet for that song specifically, but what you're referencing is a full-length dance, music, and light show that I created along with some of my very best friends. It's called Love is a Crowded Room, and it had its first... short story is, yes, it has been debuted for a handful of people. We did the first kind of residency and run of the show at the Adams Theater back in September. And we actually just announced it's going to have its second run and residency at the 62 Center at Williams College at the end of March.
That's really fun.
So this time people will have 2 chances to see it. We're going to do 2 shows, and it will be longer, and it will have more fun things. And consider yourselves already on the list.
Oh, great. I can't wait to see it.
I know. Stage things like that I think are really fantastic, which is why I think that this video is really fun, leotards and all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But, what made you want to do something more synthy like this?
I think synthesizers have always been in like my language vocabulary as a musician, and I've always approached it in a very sort of playful way. And sometimes that translates live, other times it doesn't, depends on who's available. But with this song in particular, Jazzercise on TV, when I knew I was going to make a full-length record and knew that my friend Eric Slick from Dr. Dog was slated to produce it, that just inherently gave me a little bit more permission to maybe do something that I wouldn't have thought was possible in the past. And I remember writing Jazzercise right after Eric and I had the first recording session at a studio in Nashville. And I just remember there were so many toys to play with, and we didn't really go in with a specific plan. A lot of the demos for the record were built out, but we were just, finessing and adding playful elements and kind of building this sonic world that has since become this record. And it taught me how to have fun again. And so I remember going back home after that session and just being like, I just need to do what I want to do and just write something without any attachment to it. And the 1980s sort of like jazzercise dance aerobics sphere of music is like incredibly specific.
Yes.
Yes.
Khalees and I lived it.
Yeah, I mean, it has such, from a very young age, I was like completely enamored with that. I blame my mother. But yeah, it's a very specific kind of music, and I have always been interested in those textures. And yeah, I was like, I wonder if I could.
Well,
I wonder if I could do that.
You totally nailed it,
did.
and the video
You
nailed
did.
it. Everything it feels
Yep.
very good.
Yeah.
Sierra Fregale, who joins us for Live Music Friday, is part of the Back Porch Festival, which is happening next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You can go and find out all of the schedule and more at backporchfest.com. We will be there broadcasting live a week from today,
Indeed.
so we'll have a whole Live Music Friday situation. Let's say our farewells, and then we'll hear one more from Sierra Fregale before we run out of time here. Next week on the show, it's Mass Maple Monday, I'm calling it, because we're going all the way as far west, even past North Adams, where Sierra's from, to Ioka Valley Farm to talk about maple season in March.
Yay for maple season. Also, we'll hear some comedy from Gerald Kelly, because there's a comedy night coming to White Lion, and more Back Porch Festival folks, both at the live show and off with Cowperson.
All right. Well, let's hear one more from another Back Porch Festival performer next weekend, March 7th, 8th, and 9th in downtown Northampton. Our friend, Sierra Fregale.
Yay!
Maybe soon you'll catch your breath. You spend your money and you're scared to death of the sound it makes when you yell too loud. Don't be too out there, don't be too proud. That's over now. You take your time and you figure it out. And inside the night before, hanging around on the living room floor, you're not so sure. Not so sure. Shake the disease but misplace the cure, hanging around on the living room floor. It's coming up. Get what you want, it's never enough. Right on a stroke of love. Collect your thoughts in a paper cup. Toss it back and say, this is what I want. And who's over there noticing you? I wonder if it's too good to be true. Is it the thing that's always been waiting for you? Open the door. Ooh, it's coming up. Get what you want, it's never enough. Pulse ignited, I'm reminded. To get what you want, you go out and find it. Pulse ignited, I'm reminded. To get what you want, you go out and find it. Get what you want. Get what you want. Get what you want. Go out and find it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Oh, it's the best.